Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is another video on our Ford Bronco, on our custom build, our long-term build. We are making a little bit of progress here. So last time we built the driver's seat mounts, I wanted to show this. So I cut off the original seat brackets here, so you can see. Oh, yeah, forgot to turn on the light. So you can see how good that looks down on the floor, as opposed to how weird they look if they're way up in the air. So anyway, I just like them sitting a little bit lower down. Although I was reminded that my Land Rover had seats in the back that set up higher than the seats in the front, and then I had that little hump in the roof and you had the windows and stuff, but I don't think I need to do that. I'm just going to keep it flat floored. And then that glued together nice and came out nice. You can see that all fits together perfect. So I sat down and I figured out how wide I want the footwell on the back. So I'm going to cut a P. I'm going to cut it all the way across. I want to do it at 15 millimeters. And here's a little trick for you. If you use millimeters on 24th, 25th scale cars, they're basically 1 millimeter equals an inch. Okay. So if you have an idea how big you want something to be in real life, okay, perfect. Anyway, sorry, so if you have an idea of how big you want something to be in real life, you just measure it out and just use that as a little bit of a hack. I mean, for 25th scale, actually 40 thousandths of an inch equals an inch in scale. 25th, I don't know what it'd be in 25th, but it's close enough. So I was originally going to do the back seats. I was originally going to do the footwell in the back seats the same size as the footwell in the front, but those are 20 millimeters. And I realized you just do not need that much room in the passenger area. So I just did it up this way and called it good enough. Okay. So with this piece, we're going to have to build a couple of items. So the first and the easiest is going to be the back of the transmission hump, because I want that line to follow all the way back. So you'll have basically to right there, and then you'll just have the footwells there, and that'll leave you the seat there and the seat there, and that looks good to me. Let me move my hands so you can see it. So just gotta figure out how tall. I wish these had the 5 marker in the middle, but they don't, so. Okay. I think that's going to end up being square. And I mean, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it with metric on here either. You can do it in whatever you want. Okay. Ah, yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay. So that looks good and square. So, let's see. So next up we have to build this piece again. So I'm going to do the same thing I did on it last time. Okay. So on this, what I'm really interested in doing is getting that angle there. As far as the rest of this goes, it doesn't really matter. Okay. Okay. So if we glued that on there, so just to make sure this sets up right. Yeah, it's going to fit under a little bit. Okay. Okay, hold on for a second. Okay, sorry. So this is 15 millimeters wide. This is 65. So you knock 15 off, that makes 50. So half of that's 25. So I half that, and then I made mark there, then mark there, and then that'll be lined up when I glue that in. And as you can see, it's perfect. So and I can glue that. Okay. Oh, that is perfect. Love it. Okay. And I know everybody's thinking, if you knew you're going to cut that, and then you're going to cut this back piece out, couldn't you just made that one piece and just cut them out? And you could have. I'm kind of making this up as I go. So if you want to copy what I did, you know, that's 16, that's going to be 15, and then I'm going to have this back piece, which is going to be it looks like 21. So you could just cut those out if you needed to. They're only 25 wide. So anyway, that's not something I'm really worried about right now. Okay, so okay. Okay, that actually needs to come down just a tiny bit more. And that's the beauty of scratch building to parts that you already have on hand, is you can get these things so dialed in just right there, you know. Just a tiny bit more aggressive with that. Okay, I'm happy with that. Well, let me okay. I am just not. I'm just not happy with this. Okay. But, you know, it's like anything else. You spend the time to make it right here, or it's just, it never is. So, you know, when you're scratch building stuff or you're custom fabbing stuff, that's always your option. You know, do it right now or wish you had later. Okay. So there's that. And then, like I said before, I'm actually going to come back through with some probably, I don't know, probably square rod, 5,000 by 5, 5,000 by 5,000s, and try to mimic this floor the way they did that center panel on that floor. And then when I do the base, I'm going to do the, have it set up like so. And anyway, that's what I plan to do. So but of course, like I say, that's for another day. Okay, and that's real long and I don't care. So this is okay. So that's just me gonna do exactly the same thing on that side of that. So I'm not gonna bore you with that. I'm gonna cut that out, get it put on, get it fitted, and we'll come back and we'll try to do we'll try to get the floor pieces done and made it up properly. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I got the other side done. Looks good, huh? And it only took me twice, which actually I'm pretty proud of. So I joke, but the reality is I'm happy with that. So now we got to figure out this side here, but in order to do that, I have to take this and chamfer the edge on here. This is not really the best way to do that. Because you want that to come nice and point, not come to a nice point, so it'll fit right up there. Yeah, that's actually not bad. I think I'm lucking out because it's such a narrow piece. Okay, so I'm gonna say 7mm on that. Actually, I'm gonna run that up to 8. Okay, we'll put it on here and double check it. It looks like that's more than enough. Okay. Okay. If you got one of these cutting boards, here's a little trick for you. If you put the line you want to cut here, and you make sure it's straight against this line, that line will cut straight. Just make sure this is lined up right. Okay, there we go. Yeah. It's close enough. Plus it's just styrene, I'll just break it off. It's good there. It's good there. Okay. And then, yeah. Here, let me clean these edges up. I know this probably seems like really, really rough, and it actually is. But that's fine because we're going to come in and we're going to get all this plastic all dialed in, and we're going to get all the plastic dialed in, and we're going to get all the gaps filled and cleaned up, and everything's going to go perfectly well. So, yep. Okay, so again, let me make another one of those for the other side. I don't need to bore you with that. And then I'll come back and we'll build the floorboard, and we'll be pretty close to cutting the back half of this thing off. Okay, so let's finish this up real quick. Now we're doing exactly the same thing here that we did on that. Just going to come in and just grind it down. And I know this isn't the most scientific way of doing this. I do have some tools that I could use to make that a perfect angle. Power tool it with a sanding belt, but I don't want to. I hate to say it that way, but I really don't want to. And then this works fine. I mean, see, it's already where it needs to be. I mean, you saw how fast that was, so you know, breaking out power tools and stuff sometimes isn't sometimes there's other ways of taking care of stuff, and I want that to be a little more in tune with where I need to be. Actually, let me do this different. Just hold that right there. There we go. Okay. So yeah, we'll take that out right there. That pushed out a little bit. That's fine. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit too far. Yeah, it is, but it's fine. I'm not going to mess with that. Actually, that needs to come down a little bit more. So what my real concern here is getting this edge to line up against that against this, just like that. Ugh. Now if I had an extra 2 hands. Here, let me just do this. Okay. And then same thing as the front. Get on there, double check there. And get back here and double check here. Okay. And that's good and square. So there you go, you can see where we're going with that. And then the seat and the seat, so everybody's got somewhere to sit and somewhere to put their feet. So let me do exactly, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this side. I'll make those 2 pieces and then I'll make 2 more of these and I'll add that to the piece we're going to put on here. So our next step in this is going to be to measure out how big do we want to cut this. So I'm going to cut it right along that line right there. So that is 22 millimeters. So I'm going to cut that off. Same thing, I'll make a strip and I'll just glue it in and then we'll glue it, I'll glue all this together. So next time you see this, the entire floor will be done. And then I'll show you some of the other things I want to do to it before we get ready to do anything else with it. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll finish this up off screen and then I'll come back and we'll have it set up. So that'll be perfect. I don't want to bore you with doing the same thing I've already done. So so that's it for this video. I hope you're enjoying these. I know it seems like they can be a little tedious. I'm trying to make it a little interesting, but if you're bored, let me know in the comments. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. So anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next video.